Representative Hall recognized to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, we've already heard a similar bill to this in the House, so I won't be real long today, but I think it's important to remind everyone of the context and why this bill is necessary. Many of you were here last session in summer of 2020 when, facing a pandemic, we had members of both parties, and I was lucky enough to get to lead that charge on the House side for my side of the aisle, and I work with many of the folks on the other side of the aisle to create a bipartisan elections bill because we were dealing with COVID, and we wanted people to be able to vote safely while also ensuring that we had election integrity. And we did that. We worked for weeks on that bill in summer of 2020, and the ultimate product was a bill that passed 105 to 14 in the House. How often do you see an elections bill pass 105 to 14 in the House and went on to pass the Senate, and of course the governor signed that bill, again, summer of 2020. Well, then there was a lawsuit filed not long after that, and the reality was it was a group of democratically aligned groups, Democratic lawyers who often represent the Democratic Party and allies in lawsuits. That's not disparaging them, that's just the reality of what the lawsuit was, and they've got the right to file that lawsuit and be heard in court just like anybody else would. But the problem came in September of 2020 when a supposed or alleged settlement was reached between the governor's State Board of Elections, the Democratic Governor's State Board of Elections, and Democratic groups who had sued. So essentially it became a friendly lawsuit at that point, even though the General Assembly was a party to that lawsuit. We're not given the opportunity to sign off on it. And you have to remember where we were at that point in time. This is 41 days before the 2020 election. 1 million absentee ballots had been requested. 225,000 people had already voted in this election, and this settlement agreement changed the rules of the game in the middle of an election. So we're changing the rules in the middle of an election. And I don't care how you're changing them, that never makes sense. We should have one set of rules for an election, and they shouldn't be changed right in the middle of it, especially after this body's just come together and enacted a bipartisan bill to deal with an election during a pandemic. Of course, thankfully, the Speaker and Pro Tem in the Senate filed suit on that settlement, and much of it was overturned. So what this bill would simply do is it would require in these lawsuits from now on that the Pro Tem in the Senate and the Speaker of the House, whoever those people may be, have to sign off on a settlement agreement. It doesn't mean that we're going to get the outcome that the Speaker and the Pro Tem in the Senate wants. It just means that if you're going to settle a case, then those two individuals, whoever they might be at the time, will have to agree to it. And that makes sense because that's how a lawsuit works. It's usually parties who have differing opinions about something on each side. They have a dispute. That's why it's a lawsuit. But when it becomes a friendly suit and two friends sue each other so that they can have a pretend settlement agreement and change the laws of the state, it's not right. And it throws doubt into our elections, and it creates chaos in the middle of an election. It doesn't have to be election law. It could be any other type of bill or law that we see. So again, this just lets this body be heard. We're all members of the legislative body, not the executive or judicial branch. We're members of the legislative body. We work hard in here to try to craft laws that are best for the state. Stand up for the legislative body and vote for this bill. Again, it only requires the Pro Tem, the Speaker, to be able to sign off on settlement agreements. And if this body passes something you don't like, and maybe you voted against it and the state sued on it, then let a court decide that. Let a jury decide that, or a judge. Don't let it be decided in a scam settlement that changes the election, changes the rules that this body has passed. I hope you'll support the bill.
For what purpose